So we're in a position where the polling, we did a lot of national polling, and right now we know that 2 out of 3 Americans say there is no absolute moral truth. Now, when 2 out of 3 Americans say that there's no absolute rights or wrongs, you can't survive as a nation. It takes 51% of the nation to agree that a law is right or wrong before you can enforce it. So it's 2 out of 3 among Americans. It's actually 4 out of 5 among millennials, and it's 1 out of 2 Christians believe there's no absolute right and wrong.
You know, after the Founding Fathers finished up with their Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia in the year 1787, Benjamin Franklin was asked by a bystander outside, "What have you come up with? What have you given us?" His response was, "A republic, if you can keep it." Joining us now is historian and constitutional scholar and the founder of Wall Builders, David Barton. David, good to see you.
Thanks, Doug. Good to be with you.
What prescient words by Benjamin Franklin, if you can keep it, because we're really struggling to keep it in this day and age. And we're on the cusp now of what appears to be a Supreme Court decision regarding Roe v. Wade, overturning Roe v. Wade. We're seeing threats from various groups. We're seeing a would-be assassin outside one of the Supreme Court justices' house. The republic is in jeopardy. We're in jeopardy of us not being able to keep it.
You know, one of the things that was really clear from the Founding Fathers, time after time, was the only foundation for a republic is religion and morality. And Washington, in his farewell address, talked about that's the only foundation, and don't look with indifference on attempts to remove religion and morality. So where we are now is a point in time where we really don't care what's right anymore, we care which side wins. And this is what we're seeing with Supreme Court violence. It doesn't matter what the Constitution says, it doesn't matter what the Supreme Court says. Here's my position, I want my side to win. If you're going to go against my side, I'm going to kill you, or whatever, as that attempt would have been. So we're in a position where the polling, we did a lot of national polling, and right now we know that 2 out of 3 Americans say there is no absolute moral truth. Now, when 2 out of 3 Americans say that there's no absolute rights or wrongs, you can't survive as a nation. It takes 51% of the nation to agree that a law is right or wrong before you can enforce it. So it's 2 out of 3 among Americans. It's actually 4 out of 5 among millennials, and it's 1 out of 2 Christians believe there's no absolute right and wrong. So we're at a point in time where it's all about my side winning, and that becomes Machiavellian, the end justifies the means. And so it doesn't matter that the Supreme Court made a bad decision in '73 outside of constitutional bounds. Now they're correcting that. It's my side's going to lose, and I'm pro-abortion, and I can't have my side lose. So we're at a very different time in America where the violence is easily thought of. We don't hesitate to use it if my side doesn't win. And you cannot survive as a nation with that. This is where the wisdom of the Founding Fathers really does come through, that you have to have a religious and a moral foundation. People have to agree on certain things that are right or wrong, and we just don't do that anymore.
One of the troubling things to me is it seems that this happened almost overnight. Maybe we were all the frog in the slowly boiling pot of water. But what are your thoughts about that?
No, we were the frog in the slowly boiling pot of water. We've seen the polling on this for a number of years. We've watched it change. We've watched values change in schools. We've watched people become more egocentric. It's no longer about overarching values. It's about what I want. And so we have become a very selfish generation, and polling-wise, that's just unfortunate. We're also a very not biblical generation. The American Bible Society this year came out with their new State of the Bible report that showed this year alone we lost 26 million more Bible readers in America. So we're down to where Christians only read the Bible. 9% of Christians read it daily. Only 6% have a biblical worldview. So we have come to a point where we're becoming like France and Italy and Morocco and Spain and other places that don't have a religious underpinning. And we've watched that happening for a while now, but now it's getting to the point where people are expressing that in ways we're not comfortable with, and that's the violence or the threats of violence. And we're seeing the Justice Department actually weaponized for which side wins. Justice Department, until 5 years ago, we thought did a good job of upholding the law. Now it's pick and choose which law you want to uphold. And so it is a very difficult time for us as a people, and we have to make a decision whether we're going to continue this or go back in a different direction.
You know, it's gotten to the point where when I look at an important decision, it doesn't make any difference whether it's the Supreme Court or a local court. I always look at where the judge came from, who appointed this judge.
That's right.
And it's a warning sign in many respects to me, depending on who appointed that judge. Same thing for a jury. You know, a jury in Washington, D.C., for example, where 95, give or take a few percentage points, of people voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. If there's a political trial there involving her, in all likelihood, a jury's going to rule in her favor.
That's right.
It's not, justice is no longer blind in many respects.
Yeah, and there's not the love of truth. And you have to have a love of truth to have a love of justice. And you have to recognize there are absolutes, and we no longer recognize that. And so what we're seeing, even within that framework, is, again, my side winning. But even with something like the Supreme Court, and this is where I think a knowledge of our history used to be very good. We talked today about 3 co-equal and independent branches, and yet the Federalist Papers made it very clear that the 3 branches were not co-equal. They said the judicial is by far the weakest of all powers without comparison, was their term, and they said the legislative authority necessarily predominates. So the first time the Supreme Court ever overturned a law was in the abominable Dred Scott decision in 1857, when they overturned Congress's law of 1820 that banned slavery in certain territories. First time you ever had the Supreme Court overturn any legislative action. And so the Founding Fathers made it real clear that the legislature predominates. Well, you take the Obergefell decision we had in 2015, 32 states had passed constitutional amendments.
A reminder of viewers what the Obergefell
The Obergefell decision is where the Supreme Court said, you 32 states that have voted that marriage is between a man and woman, you're all wrong. We're now telling you there is no definition of marriage. And so that's a Supreme Court, 9 individuals telling all these legislatures, you can do what you want, but we get the final word. And that's the kind of judicial activism that now makes the court such a focus. Why should the court have the final word on whether life begins at conception? Because that's not their role. That's we the people. So as a republic, we did not allow the court to do that. That's really the judicial activism that started in 1947. It really manifested itself in 1962-63. And most people don't know history, think the way we have it now, the court gets the final word on everything. Founding Fathers would have gone through the roof on that, and they did, actually. A number of Founding Fathers just said, that's the Supreme Court, we don't have to worry about it.
Has their concept of the laboratory of the states also fallen by the wayside?
It has, but there's another problem with that, is when the Supreme Court comes out with a decision on life, there's 2 ways it can go. It can go back to the original belief that life is an inalienable right. We have the inalienable right to life, therefore no state can take it away. The purpose of government, the Declaration of Constitution, is to protect inalienable rights. Or it can say this is a 10th Amendment issue, since it's not one of the 17 delegated powers the Constitution gives the federal government, you states get to do everything else. So if they go with that, then we're still going to have the battle of whether abortion is right or wrong in various states. 27 states right now would end abortion quickly, and there's going to be a battle in the others. If it's an inalienable right, then it's what it was prior to 1973, when you can't have abortion. That violates the right to life. That's what we'll see if the court does, which way they go.
David Barton, you're a smart man, and history was my favorite subject in high school and college. So I really want to have you back. Come back.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Doug McKelway, and thank you for watching Centerpoint. We hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. Leave a comment below and keep the conversation going by sharing this video with a friend who needs to see it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.